The NHL season opened up on Tuesday with 3 games.
Cleared ahead, breakaway, Kyrou, 3-2, St. Louis, he scores!
The call on Blues Radio, 3-2, the win for St. Louis on the road at Seattle. The defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers beat the Boston Bruins 6-4. In Salt Lake City, the Utah Hockey Club won their first game 5-2 over the Chicago Blackhawks. Utah in its first season after the franchise was moved from Phoenix. Baseball Tuesday, the Mets beat the Phillies 7-2. The Padres nipped the Dodgers 6-5. The Mets can close out the Phillies today, while the Padres will look to eliminate the Dodgers. In Detroit, the Tigers and Guardians battle in Game 3. The series tied at 1-1. The Royals host the Yankees. That series tied at a game apiece. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Stirring fiber, exercising, frequent trips to the store for more laxatives and fiber. Sounds like your constipation with belly pain is a lot to manage. But if your symptoms that keep coming back are signs of irritable bowel syndrome with constipation or IBS-C, ask your doctor how Linzess can help you get ahead of it. Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LANZESS.
No way football is playing in the fall and winter
because the hits don't hurt as much when you're numb. Get the lowdown on all the sports action coming up right here.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The only place in football where the offense is always on the field is on Moneyline. With the 2 best hosts in radio, Donnie Rightside.
If anybody wasn't watching, listen, I don't know what you were doing.
And Kevin Walsh.
Forget act like you've been there before.
On the SportsGrid Radio Network, SiriusXM Channel 159.
Oh, the best every day now officially is underway. It's a glorious Wednesday. By the way, here in the Northeast, got them cool temperatures this morning. Hoodie weather out there, people. As I'm rocking my Eagles hoodie. Maybe they get a win this weekend over the Cleveland Browns. They better. They absolutely better. But speaking of other Philadelphia teams that need victories, those Philadelphia Phillies, certainly we're going to talk Major League Baseball today. We'll handicap all 4 of those games tonight. Some good action, some good angles to go over. Yesterday, for me, I did think the Philadelphia Phillies were going to win that game yesterday against the New York Mets. They had the better pitcher on the mound. Didn't work out that way. The Mets were better than the Phillies yesterday. Also thought that the Padres team total would go over their alt of 3.5, cash that ticket. So not too bad yesterday as we move on to today and try to find some of those winners. But as always, we love to see the hot topics in the best hour every day. It is underway. It's Donnie Rightside. It's a solo mission. It's a SportsGrid network. We're out here in the chat box on SportsGrid On Demand on the YouTube channel. If you haven't done that yet, make sure you head over each and every day. More subscribers. Head on over. SportsGrid On Demand on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Get in the chat box. Come in here and say hello. If you're listening through SiriusXM Channel 159, fantastic. If you're listening to SportsGridRadio.com, absolutely love it. If you're watching us live on the SportsGrid app, fantastic stuff. The best way to contact us and have some fun and get out to us, social media, people, which means on Twitter, at RightSideVP for myself. Be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. And certainly, if you want to jump in that chat box and have some fun like so many people have done, since we're now live on the air on YouTube as another way to watch and listen to your favorite SportsGrid network programming, which includes the Moneyline, which is underway right now. Let's get down to business. Let's have some fun. Oh, no, Major League Baseball. You got 4 games on the docket today. I can't wait to go over these. Been capping them all this morning, live from Moneyline. If you were listening through, we'll hit these games again. A 3 o'clock start this afternoon is game number 1. Rotation 907, 908. That's Cleveland, and that's Detroit. Cobb versus Montero. Your guess is as good as mine of how long those pitchers actually stay in the game. Currently, right now, a slight favorite to the home team, Detroit Tigers, at a minus 110 price, which they were the slight underdog a little bit earlier today. Game number 2, Philadelphia Phillies and the New York Mets. Difference between the American League and the National League today? Yeah. Elimination day in the National League. If the Phillies win, they will stave off elimination. There will be a Game 5 at Citizens Bank Park on Friday. If the Phillies do not win tonight, they will be out of the playoffs, and the Mets will move forward to the NLCS. Game number 3 today on the card, 7:08 start. That is between the New York Yankees and the Kansas City Royals. That's Schmidt versus Lugo. Slight favorite here towards, actually looks like it's bouncing back and forth now. We had a minus 120 number for the New York Yankees. About an hour ago, we started to shift to more of that 50-50 action. But now it looks like we have a minus 116 price, minus 118, minus 115s on the board now as the favorite towards the New York Yankees. Final game of the night out on the West Coast. And again, an elimination game in the National League between the Dodgers and the Padres. Landon Knack on the mound for the Dodgers going up against Dylan Cease. The favorite here is for San Diego at a minus 138 price at FanDuel, minus 142 at DraftKings. So let's just call it between minus 135 and minus 145. They are a favorite. They have the better pitcher on the mound, and they can be in a close-out scenario on the Dodgers. So if we're looking big picture, right, and we're looking and saying, all right, Phillies number 2 seed on the brink of elimination in a road environment, never a good thing to have. Los Angeles Dodgers, the number 1 overall seed in baseball. You know what they're having a problem with now? Yeah, they can get closed out on the road against the San Diego Padres. So good luck in that to the National League. And just as a fan perspective, you know, I'm a Phillies guy. Do I want them to win the game? Absolutely, I do. But if you're just a baseball guy, like for me, no real cheering or influence in the Dodgers Padres. But boy, wouldn't you love to see game number 5? Yankees, Royals, game number 5 back in the Bronx. Love to see it. Cleveland Guardians, Detroit Tigers, game number 5 back in, Cleveland, where you would get another look at the Cy Young Award-winning pitcher in the American League that could stand up there against anybody, Tarek Skubal. That would be a lot of fun to watch it play out. But today, the last day we're going to have 4 Major League Baseball games in one day. So once again, enjoy it. Staggered perfectly tonight. 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. Let's get our fill. Let's have some fun. But how we got there, how about last night, the San Diego Padres? And for me, I didn't really watch the game because it started a little bit late, but I did wake up in the 3rd inning and say, oh, look at that. Already cashed my ticket on Bet365, which was an alt-team total for the Padres. It was expensive. It's minus 164, but I thought it was worth the wait. And quite frankly, you could have taken just about any number there for the Padres and cashed that ticket as they got 6 runs. Now, was that a surprise to me? No. That's why I thought my favorite play of the day was the team total line for the San Diego Padres. Just got a little bit more insurance at the 3.5 because scoring 4 runs, obviously easier to do than scoring 5 runs. You get the picture here. But Michael King was on the mound yesterday for the Padres. That was the handicap if you're looking from a side perspective. Now, granted, the Padres did win that game 6-5, and you would still cash the ticket the same. But if you would have told me before this baseball game started, Donnie, before we even get to the 4th inning, Michael King is going to give up 5 earned runs, which included a grand slam to Teoscar Hernandez. Never would have bet that game. That would be a Dodgers victory, and the Dodgers would be trying to close out the San Diego Padres tonight, not vice versa. But you got 6 runs in the bottom of the 2nd inning by the Padres, which included a big shot out there from Fernando Tatis, a 2-run, 2-out home run to sort of seal the deal. And you thought that game would be over, right? 6-1 after 2. Those 4 runs on the grand slam at the top of the 3rd, nobody scored. From the 4th inning on last night, the bullpens were just grinding in peak performance. But also the pitching matchup coming into yesterday, Walker Buehler. This isn't the same Walker Buehler that we saw a couple years ago. We looked like he was on a trajectory to be one of the best pitchers in baseball. Comes back off that Tommy John, struggling to find his way back in the role because typically, if again, it was 2.5 years ago, hey, by the way, Walker Buehler's on the mound. I don't care who he's going up against. Dodgers probably going to win that baseball game because he's going to dominate, and the Dodgers are going to get enough good plate appearances against any pitcher to win that game. Wasn't the case yesterday. And today, once again, the Dodgers don't have the better pitcher on the mound, and that's going to be an issue. I predicted this, so it's not a surprise to me. I said the Padres would beat the Dodgers before this series started because they're a better baseball team than the Dodgers overall. They have better starting pitching, a better bullpen, and a 1-9 that could be comparable to what the Dodgers are laying out. The Dodgers do have a better 1-9 because they have Ohtani and Betts. And also, if you're looking from a Dodgers spot up here, you want to take the home crowd out of it. You get a Betts home run in the 1st inning. You have a shutdown inning in the bottom of the 1st by walk from Buehler. It's like, man, that's all we needed to do. Then you give up a 6 spot at the bottom of the 2nd inning, and really just the route was on at that point. Dave Roberts certainly on watch alert out here, whether or not he's going to be that Dodgers manager for too much longer. But that was such a good win for the Padres. And again, same, terminology. The better pitcher on the mound repeatedly is on the Padres side, and Dylan Cease is going to be that better pitcher again tonight. We'll handicap that and much more a little bit later. And the New York Metropolitans out here yesterday clowning the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies can't get out of their own way. Game number one, look, you have to understand, too. Game number one was a bullpen game from an average bullpen that the New York Mets have. Shut the Phillies down. That's unacceptable. The Phillies lost. Game number two, you go into that and say, oh, well, Christopher Sanchez gave us a solid start. Now we're down 3-0. Credit the Phillies for coming back in that game, but Severino's not a great pitcher. You shouldn't be able to shut you down for that long before Bryce Harper was able to come through with that 2-run shot, Nick Castellanos' solo shot to tie that game up. Then it got crazy into the bullpens, and the Phillies end up with a victory. But again, looking at the game yesterday, the Mets were the better team from start to finish. You're not going to win a lot of baseball games if you're not taking more than a 1-run lead, which the Philadelphia Phillies had in game number one after a solo shot from Schwarber to lead that game off. They basically went dormant since then in the first 5 innings. And you can't. You can't score your first runs in the top of the 8th inning. The momentum was already gone. A couple solo shots for the Mets early on, some clutch hitting in the 6th inning, and also that game was 2-0. The top of the 6th inning, a walk from Schwarber, a walk from Turner. Your superstar MVP is up at the plate in Bryce Harper. If he launches one, you take the lead. If he sends one in the gap, you tie it up, and the floodgates could have opened. Bryce Harper struck out. Castellanos lines into double play. That game was a wrap yesterday. Tons of hot topics. Major League Baseball talk. NFL talk. This is what we do on the Sports Grid Network. I know it's in the morning. Grab an extra cup of coffee. Headed out to an early lunch on the East Coast. Stay with your boy Donnie Rightside. The topics continue to flow. We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
Fall is here. It's getting cooler. Football and the World Series are coming in.
Life is good.
Sports Grid makes it better. Get the winning edge. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
The Justice Department announced the arrest Tuesday of an Afghan national living in Oklahoma and accused him of plotting to kill Americans on Election Day on behalf of the terror group ISIS. With the Sports Grid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. 27-year-old Nasir Tawedi is alleged to have sought to purchase semi-automatic firearms and ammunition to further his alleged plans to carry out the attack, and even went so far as to liquidate his family's assets and resettling family members overseas in preparation. Hurricane Milton's wind speeds have slightly decreased, but it remains a Category 5 storm, according to the U.S. National Hurricane Center's most recent advisory. The storm has maximum sustained wind speeds of 160 miles per hour. As of 11 p.m. Tuesday, it was 405 miles southwest of Tampa. It had picked up lateral speed moving toward Florida at 12 miles per hour, and the Hurricane Center said it was expected to travel more quickly overnight into today. I'm Trey Westerberg with the Sports Grid News Flash.
In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, tested and inspected fire protection systems, first aid and safety supplies, on-site AED training, or mops and restroom products, stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together. So visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Extravagant, luxurious, lavish. The $7 Lux Cravings Box from Taco Bell satisfies all your crunchiest, cheesiest, sauciest cravings. Indulge in a beefy 5-layer burrito, chicken chalupa supreme, Doritos Locos Taco, and chips and a drink for an unluxurious price. It's Lux for less. Get yours today at Taco Bell. At participating Taco Bell stores for a limited time only while supplies last. Price and participation vary. Drinks excludes freezes. Tax extra.
Days are getting cooler and shadows are getting longer.
You know what that means?
It's football weather. So bundle up and keep it here for all the latest strategies and gridiron information.
It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
See the X-Man out there in the chat box having some fun. Oilers and Yankees Moneyline is telling people tonight. So we got the juice already flowing out here in the streets. Love to see it. Now, let's get to some NFL hot topics. We're going to get baseball. We're going to cap those 4 games. We're going to try to put some winners on the table tonight. Harder in the playoffs to do, absolutely. But I do think we have some ins tonight in these games that will make some sense. But let's get to the hot topics in the NFL. I wasn't on yesterday. Kevin was on, holding the fort down. Tomorrow, K-Dubs will be back. Thursday Night Football. We'll be grinding, having some fun. You get it. But I didn't get to talk about Robert Saleh on the air until this morning. Jets move on from Robert Saleh, which did catch me a little bit off guard. When I saw that come through, just popped out of the shower, about to get grab a haircut. I was like, oh, look at this. So just wanted to read like the room on what actually happened. Like, oh, Aaron Rodgers, yeah, he did get his way, didn't he? Aaron Rodgers finally won out. Only for Woody Johnson, the owner of the Jets, to come out and say, look, I called Aaron Rodgers. I talked to him. I didn't mention anything about our head coach, Robert Saleh. Nothing about that. Hey, how you doing, Aaron? Good. What'd you eat this morning? I had a bagel, a little extra cream cheese, had some scrambled eggs on the side, got a workout in, headed over to the training facility. Oh, that's nice. Just wanted to call. You're my quarterback. Love you, kid. And good luck this weekend against the Buffalo Bills. Click. And that's all they talked about. And then Woody Johnson went out and said, you know what? I'm just going to show up at the facility and let me know where Robert Saleh is. Bring him in because I'm going to fire him immediately. And he's not going to get a chance to get his computers, his belongings, anything. We're going to escort him immediately out of the building. And then Aaron Rodgers goes, man, nothing about this. I didn't have anything to do with it. But your play, Aaron Rodgers, was everything to do with why Robert Saleh is no longer the head coach. So many times we brought up this point last year, and I know if you hear it on different shows from me, I'm going to say it until I'm blue in the face. The New York Jets, if they just got average quarterback play, are a very good football team. The defense is unbelievably talented. They can hold up, give you less than 20 points to the opposition on a week-to-week basis, which means you should win the majority of your football games. The Jets haven't been doing that. Yes, the Jets were embarrassed in week number 1. They never should have lost that game. The Denver Broncos came in, and Aaron Rodgers couldn't even get the double digits. They lost to a quarterback who threw for 60 yards in that football game. That wasn't Aaron Rodgers' fault, though, apparently. They go on, or technically on the road. Neutral site game, though, in London. Aaron Rodgers is absolutely atrocious in that football game. 3 interceptions that were worse and worse and worse as they went on. Pick 6, overthrows, game on the line, throw an interception. Before that, Garrett Wilson double move on the cornerback on the outside. Aaron Rodgers misses him by 10 yards on an easy pitch and catch touchdown, which would probably have gave the Jets the victory at that point. But they lost. So they're not moving on from Aaron Rodgers, which you can't really do at this point. Too much guaranteed tied up. Where are you going to go quarterback? You tried the Boyle route and stuff last year, and it didn't work. So something had to change. But Woody Johnson felt that it was the head coach that had to get changed. From a head coach who is a defensive guy with a very good defense and a good defensive coordinator, as apparently that was the issue in the locker room itself. Now, finally, we get clarity in New York, guys, don't we? We've always thought, right, myself included, you listening to the radio now, that Aaron Rodgers controls that organization. Who's going to be my coach? Who comes back to be my coach? Who I want on my football team, particularly on offense? What I say goes, which includes probably the play calls because Nathaniel Hackett is his right-hand guy. That's why Hackett is there, to not rock the boat, let Aaron do whatever he wants, and just be basically a cheerleader on the sideline. Yeah, great, looks good. Deep pass, love it. Short pass, even better. You get the point here. But the fact that Aaron Rodgers now is right now in the crosshairs of the Jets organization with nobody else to look at. Isn't that what we finally wanted? Because I know that you can only take owners and players at their word at times. Woody Johnson once again saying, I didn't talk to Aaron Rodgers about firing the head coach. This was me and absolutely nobody else in this building. We didn't get any thought process behind, except for saying like when Aaron Rodgers come off the field and awkward exchanges with Robert Saleh, we knew something might be amiss, but head coaches and quarterbacks and players, they're not always best friends. Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts here in Philadelphia go through the same things. Sometimes it gets heated. You even saw on Sunday in Denver, right? Denver's winning that football game. Bo Nix is arguing with his head coach. That's healthy at times. You saw Bill O'Brien in the past with Tom Brady on the sideline arguing with each other. That's healthy. In the heat of the battle, you're supposed to get fired up. If you feel like the head coach didn't make the right move on going for it on 4th down or not going on 4th down, you have every right to confront the head coach there in a civil manner, but things get heated and arguments happen, and that's just the way of life. That's football. It's being a professional, being a competitive guy. But now we look at that Jets organization and say, if it does not work, it's all on Aaron Rodgers and nobody else to look at. And also, case in point, right? I'm pretty sure they didn't fire Robert Saleh because he was, I don't know if I want to get Devontae Adams and you have to get overruled because we don't know specifically where Devontae Adams is going. He's going to miss another week with that hamstring injury, but we probably thought he would be on the move. Kay Adams, who was supposed to have Devontae on her show, I believe on, was it Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday morning when he appears. He decided to skip that week because a lot is going on, which meant we probably thought he would get moved on Tuesday, if not today on Wednesday. Haven't heard anything back. and maybe that trade market does heat up. But also, if he's going to miss this weekend, there's no real hurry to get him inside the building because keep in mind, every day that goes by, the Vegas Raiders are paying that contract. You make a move to get him this week, then maybe you got to pay an extra $1 million this season to keep him on your roster. So I think he's making about $1 million or so a week or something a little bit north of that. Every week you wait, you get to save, which again, the owner's going to like that, but you do want to acquire the top talent when you have a chance to, so things don't change before that deal actually gets finalized. But now we're saying to ourselves, is Devontae Adams going to be the savior for the New York Jets? Is he the missing piece? Why would he be the missing piece? The defense is really good. The offensive line is the struggle. The quarterback is the struggle. What happened to that ground game? Breece Hall is an electrifying running back that absolutely has been stopped cold the past 2 weeks. Does that just loosen up? Braylon Allen, the backup running back, does he find room all of a sudden now? Allen Lazard, who drops every other pass thrown to him, does he start catching the football? Mike Williams, who's on a milk carton on a week-to-week basis, does he actually show up and want to play? Garrett Wilson got 22 targets last week. Is he still going to be the main dog? Is he going to be happy? And when Devontae Adams does come over, what did you give up to him? How much money are you going to have to guarantee? And how does he upset that wide receiving room? When now says Garrett Wilson goes, I guess I'm not the superstar. I don't even want to be here anymore. Boy, there is a lot to going on with the Jets. It includes a big-time Monday Night Football game against the Buffalo Bills. It's Moneyline in the morning, and I'm Donnie Rightside. I'll be right back.
Don't look like an idiot at work. Know your stuff. Football and everything else.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
This is Bob Wolf with Wade Hoyt, welcoming you to the fourth World Series game of 1961.
In 1961, Yankee pitcher Whitey Ford breaks Babe Ruth's record of 29 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings in the World Series.
So far, Ford has given the same performance that he did in the series opener. That is, no runs and just 2 hits.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
If you've ever brewed your own beer, you may have discovered that bad brewer's yeast, through a process called hyperattenuation, can massively boost the beer's alcohol content, change its flavor, or, in a worst-case scenario, make your beer explode.
Cheers.
New research by the American Society of Microbiology found that adding small amounts of one of 8 different kinds of killer toxins to your beer prevents bad taste, extra alcohol content, and explosions. But if not done carefully, might lead to other problems. Follow me at Chica Palbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast.
What they really need is to keep Rodgers upright and let him go to work. You know what he reminds me of, Parcells? You're the cook. Can I pick the food? This guy's the chef. Can he cook the dinner? Let this guy cook. Listen, Robert Saleh, he never won. They never win. That's all that matters. You don't win, you get fired in the NFL.
It's Pharrell Coast to Coast with Scott Farrell. Weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. On the home of the winning edge, the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Fall is almost here.
It's time to stow the lawnmower and get ready for all that glorious action coming your way. Stay tuned to SportsGrid for all the strategies, angles, and info you need to get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Topics, hot topics all the way through. One of the biggest hot topics, non-sports related, but I guess it depends on some sports. Tampa Bay Buccaneers evacuated town so they can continue to get their practice in as Hurricane Milton is bearing down on the coast, the west coast here, of the state of Florida. So anybody listening down there, if you are, wish you all the best and tighten up shop, and hopefully this thing somehow misses you and or is much weaker than anticipated. But it's certainly a big deal down there in the state of Florida. So button up those houses. I know you guys are tough in Florida, been through many a hurricane before. This is one of those 100-year storms, which is a shame, where it's now going to impact that west coast as opposed to usually coming up through that tip of Miami and racing through the center. It looks like it's going to blast right through the entire central part of the state of Florida. So hopefully everybody's going to be good. And then there's certainly prayers going out, making it through. Hopefully the power stays on. Hopefully things get back to normal as soon as possible there. But are you ready for some hot topics coming through? First hot topic. You know I'm a doctor, right? I just play, not officially. I don't have my PhD, but I do like to play one on TV and radio. There's one thing I know in my career, whenever I've played sports, is the hamstring injury. I don't have any hamstring issues in high school. But as you move forward into college, lifting a lot more weights, pushing your body to a lot more limits, which means those tendons and those hamstrings and those strains get a little bit easier to do. Junior year, I had a little bit of issues with hamstrings, but didn't really miss too much time at all. Just maybe taking it a little bit easy for a practice week here, getting the leg, ace bandaged up for a game. I remember I played my junior year in a scrimmage. And, I didn't want to miss the scrimmage, but I probably shouldn't have done it. But I had my leg wrapped so tight, it looks like I was like swinging an anvil out there every time I was trying to run with my left leg. But still got through the scrimmage, was fine, and didn't have any issues throughout that season. My senior year, though, I tore my hamstring. I played in every single college football game that I was eligible to play in and started just about every single one of those. The only game I missed was my senior year because my leg was black on the back. Gutted it out, missed one game, was still trying to hunt down breaking a record, had to get out there, but it's a shame. Like, I had a couple injuries my senior year I wish I didn't have. But the reason I bring that up is I know about hamstrings, and sometimes athletes have no idea what the hamstring injury is because they've never had one before or had to deal with it. And quite frankly, they're not all that painful. Now, the one I had, obviously, like I basically got hit by a sniper chasing down a 9 route to the outside and fell down. I was like, oh, no, like hobbled off the field and knew immediately that I wasn't going to be back for quite some time, which only turned out to be 1 week because, again, I could barely move and I had to gut out the final 3 games of my senior year. But most people feel that little tweak, like, I did a little cramp. It's never a little cramp. The hamstring is the toughest injury to gauge. And Nico Collins of the Houston Texans, I was actually really surprised. He played the week before because he popped up on that injury report. I said, boy, pops up. He's probably not going to play this weekend. But sometimes you don't know the severity with the new injury reports that come out. Anytime you miss anything, they'll put any label on. Like, hey, you know what? Leg's a little bit tired. Throw a hamstring injury down. Just put it on the practice report so we don't get fined. But he played that weekend as absolutely filthy dominant. Double-digit catches, 100 yards. He was amazing in that game. Then last week you saw on a deep pass, which he scored a touchdown, 60-plus yards, hobbled in from 5 yards out, walked into the end zone, didn't celebrate too much, and left the field. Now, I always get a joke about this. The Texans, after that game and early in the practice week, day to day. And I just hit the retweet and said, you know what? He's out. There's no way you run in a football game, blow a tire on your hamstring, and you're going to be back the next weekend. He's now on the IR. He's going to miss 4 games. Hamstring injuries are terrible because, again, most athletes don't know how to handle them because you never really understand if that hamstring injury is going to be bad enough unless you really open it up, which means run a deep route, run as hard as you can for 15 yards. Your body will let you know, but it's not really a painful injury. It just holds you back, but you can always make it worse. A.J. Brown looking to come back from a hamstring injury. We'll see if he does it this week against the Cleveland Browns, but that's a tough loss for the Houston Texans. Nico Collins, one of the better wide receivers in the NFL, down for at least 1 full month for the first-place Texans. That's going to have an impact, but that's also why you get players like Stephon Diggs sort of hold over and tide you over here. I'm going to set this up now because I don't want to blow this segment. We're going to get Major League Baseball. We got all 4 games. We capped them this morning on Moneyline. Capped them this morning on the early line. We'll hit them again on Moneyline. We'll see what's out there to make some hay. See some boosts out there, like 365 was giving those 50% Major League Baseball boosts. Maybe they just give us a odds boost as well on a couple things. We'll get there. There was something that took place yesterday that was really in the back of my mind for months. I had an issue when I first saw it, but we were out of season. Now I'm seeing it and getting even more angry as I see it play out. And I was actually rooting for this organization to lose last night. Can you believe what team this is? What sport this is? Your boy Donnie Rightside is going to go and start flame throwing out there in Big Salt Lake. Come on back.
Time to coil up that garden hose. Fall is here.
And SportsGrid has you covered with strategies and info on football, baseball, and everything else. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Allison right. That'll get Martinez home. They will hold Taylor at third, and diving into second with a double and a run batted in is Francisco Lindor.
The call on Mets Radio 7-2, the win over the Phillies on Tuesday. New York takes a 2-1 series advantage in the best of 5. Pete Alonso and Jesse Winker hit solo homers for the Mets. Francisco Lindor ripped a 2 RBI double. New York will try and close things out at home today. Jose Quintana starts against Ranger Suarez. The Padres held on to beat the Dodgers 6-5 to go up 2-1 in the best of 5. San Diego led it 6-1 heading into the third. Teoscar Hernandez hit a grand slam to pull the Dodgers within 1, but the San Diego bullpen able to hold on. Game 4 is tonight. Dylan Cease starts for San Diego. The Dodgers haven't announced a starter. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Shop Macy's VIP sale going on now. Use your coupon or Macy's card and take an extra 30% off the latest fall trends from designers that rarely go on sale. And save 15% off skincare, makeup, fragrances, and more. Plus, shop fall specials for even more great deals on top brands at Macy's. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
What's better than one win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get one line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
Right before your very eyes.
The boys of summer are about to become the champions of fall.
MLB playoffs are coming.
And SportsGrid will bring you all the angles, strategies, and info.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Start with a little bit of fun. You know the tease before there. You know I get hyped up sometimes. I love myself a good hot take or two. And I think most of the people generally are with me on my ideas, which does include this one. I'm from Philadelphia, or should I say in the Philadelphia area. I am a Flyers fan, and this is the first year in a long time that I'm actually excited that the Flyers are going to open up their season. Because Matvei Michkov, looking forward to he can be maybe a superstar in the hockey league. Looking for in that hockey league that we all call. The reason why I'm saying hockey league, because it's very generic. The Flyers are my hockey team, but they do have a name, the Flyers. They are from Philadelphia. So therefore, their team name is what? The Philadelphia Flyers. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. That's pretty good. So understand this. Like, how do we get to team nicknames? Well, you have a city, and then the city and the owner go, what's the best fit for our franchise here? And within maybe 30 minutes or a day, they find out like, oh, man, okay, Houston Texans, fantastic. New England, oh, Patriots, that goes hand in hand. That's pretty cool. Boston Red Sox, legendary name. The New York Yankees, legendary name. The Philadelphia Phillies, legendary name. The New Jersey Devils, awesome name. Cool. Great moniker. Goes along with the state. Florida Panthers. I guess there's Panthers in Florida. Tampa Bay, a lot of storms, lightning. Fantastic. You get where I'm going here, right? It's pretty easy. Hey, our town is getting a new hockey team. Hey, our town's getting a new football team. New basketball team. New WNBA team. We got to name it. Really easy. Go to social media, crowdsource. Hey, we're going to give you a week. Whatever region you're in, I don't want to call it the region just yet, the one we're talking about. We're going to go over and say, I need your help, public. We have a week to come up with names of what you want our franchise to be here. Here's the city. Here's the state we're in. Come up with some names. Top 15 names that we get, we're going to continuously put it to a vote the following week to see what the best name for our franchise is going to be, because we want it to represent our city, our state, and also as a point of, hey, man, that's a really cool nickname. Thanks for coming up with those numbers. So, whatever it might be, and you settle on the San Francisco Giants, you settle on the Los Angeles Dodgers, you settle on the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? We all know that. Utah, which is new to the NHL, decided they are going to go with the name Hockey Club. And you guys know me. If I am the commissioner of all sports, which I am, and I'm commissioner of the NHL, I tell Utah, you don't start your franchise. I don't grant you the ability to play until you actually name your team. Donnie, that's ridiculous. It's not a big deal. No, it is a big deal. In professional sports in the United States, and forget about soccer, they just want to be European. I'm talking about U.S. sports, basketball, hockey, NFL, college sports. You have a school name, you have a city name, you have a state name, and you have a nickname. It's how we do business here. The Washington football team was one of the most horrendous names we've ever saw in history. But you know what didn't surprise me? It was the worst run football team / professional sports franchise in the history of professional sports. Daniel Snyder was an absolute buffoon. That's why he would name it the Washington Football Club. So they would go from Redskins and say, we don't have any ability to pick a new name here. Washington Football Team. What? The stupidest name. So I said to myself, we actually see that this name is so damn stupid, nobody else is going to ever do something so stupid in major sports in the United States ever again. That's solved. Because nobody's going to follow Dan Snyder, the worst owner in the history of professional sports, down that same path. Utah one-upped them. They really did. The NHL is letting them get away with calling the Utah Hockey Club. That's their name. That's not a joke. And I know a lot of people don't get caught up on the NHL, and they might not even know Utah even has a hockey team until midway through January when they sit down and say, okay, the NFL is winding down. What other sports are out here? I understand that. Utah Yeti. Like, there was a lot of names that were thrown out. But let me tell you something about professional sports as well. That's embarrassing. They're the Utah Hockey Club. That is disgraceful. They're the Utah Hockey Club. In 24 hours, they could have had a new name that state loved and was proud of and welcome in to the sporting landscape in North America, where you have a nickname and you have a city or a state name in front. But they decided to go Hockey Club. The stupidest name I've ever heard in sports. So you know what I would do also if I was Gary Bettman? That's all right. You want to go down that path? That's your name. You can never change that name. You will always be Hockey Club and be embarrassing. And you know what I found myself doing last night? I don't give a damn about Utah hockey. Quite frankly, I don't give a damn about anybody outside of the Philadelphia Flyers. I'm not paying attention to it. Like, in the city of Philadelphia, there are Flyers fans and there are not hockey fans, if that makes sense. When the Flyers are playing, they'll watch. When the Flyers get knocked out, you don't know hockey exists in the city of Philadelphia. And that's the way in a lot of places for hockey. There's not hockey fans that are Flyers. There's Flyers fans, and then is there still a sport going on outside of it? Yeah, that's the way it is. But for the fact that your team is the Utah Hockey Club, and I watched the highlights this morning. I didn't watch the game last night. I'm wasting my time on that. I sat here looking at the highlights going like, I hope they lost. And I found that they did, and I was sort of devastated. Because now I feel like sometimes you need a villain. And the Utah Hockey Club in the NHL, for me, that's now an official villain. Like, I'm so embarrassed for my squad, the Philadelphia Flyers, to have to play a team called the Utah Hockey Club. That looks like they said, Donnie, I know you're probably not good with, logo design and doing stuff like that. But Donnie, we need you to design a Utah hockey logo. So I go, all right. Think about this, people. I draw a circle and I write Utah in it. Like, oh, brilliant. That's what they did. If you out there in Utah bought yourself a Utah Hockey Club sweater, I'm using the hockey slang, sweater meaning jersey, you just embarrassed yourself. I saw when they won the game. Did they not have a mascot out there waving it around? That flag that said Hockey Club on it? I think when I saw a goal in the background, like the LED lights were saying like hockey club goal. You have got to be kidding me. Now, this is me. Like, I get passionate about stuff like this, and I get upset. The Utah Hockey Club. It's as if, and I used this scenario this morning on the early line. It's almost like we've all played, and I'm older. I'm in my late 40s. So I remember the days of Sega Genesis, and before that, just the Sega system itself. I remember Nintendo, way before Super Nintendo and anything else they had. But there were issues and times where you would play a video game where they didn't secure the rights to a certain team and or player. I used to play basketball games that didn't allow you to have Michael Jordan in it. His name was Air All Night. That was his name in a basketball game, Air All Night, because they couldn't call him Michael Jordan. Charles Barkley wasn't in those games. Dan Marino, I believe, was in a lot of the early football games. So it feels like you didn't pay enough to secure the rights to use the actual team name, so you just had to go with a buffer Utah Hockey Club. Like everybody in the NHL paid their rights to an NHL game, and Utah was like, you know what? We want to hold that for more money. Oh, we can't use the Utah Yeti or the Utah Ski or Utah anything, so you're just going to be called Hockey Club. Utah, you don't deserve a franchise. Your owner, a bum. The Utah Hockey Club, I hope they're 1-0. I hope they finish the season with 1 win. That's how I feel. That's how bad that name is. I wish nothing but losses for the Utah Hockey Club. Let's get the baseball next.
Yeah, it's getting cooler.
Football weather is here.
Stay tuned for all the latest odds, strategies, and info. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. Following a 2-3 start to the season, the Jets have fired head coach Robert Saleh. Defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich takes over as interim head coach. It's the first in-season coaching change in 25 years of ownership for Woody Johnson, who said he consulted with general manager Joe Douglas, but called it my decision and mine alone. Baseball playoffs today, the Mets look to close out the Phillies. Jose Quintana starts at home against Ranger Suarez. The Padres can close out the Dodgers. Dylan Cease starts for San Diego. LA hasn't announced their starter. Yankees and Royals tied at a game apiece. Seth Lugo starts for Kansas City at home against Clark Schmidt. The Guardians and Tigers tied at 1 apiece. Detroit hasn't announced their starter. Alex Cobb starts for Cleveland. NFL tomorrow night, the 2-3 49ers visit the 3-2 Seahawks. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Moments like my daughter telling me a new joke mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
When the weather cools off,
Major League Baseball playoffs heat up.
Sit tight.
The World Series is coming. Keep it here for every bit of the action with strategies and information
to give you the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Let's heat up, people. Major League Baseball talk. Hot topics out of the way? Absolutely. Hot topic comes up, I'm going to talk about it. And yes, that includes Utah. I mean, come on, man. Just change it. Like, I'll buy the team tomorrow if I had the money. We'll go Salt Lake Sinners. Boom. Right off the bat, make tight jerseys across the board. We'll change the colors. We'll make it really happening. We'll change it from the hockey club. I will save that state from the embarrassment that is currently taking place. They shouldn't be embarrassed. They shouldn't be embarrassed. They should be going around the NHL, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Seattle Kraken. Great names, fun names. You're going to remember for decades. The Utah Hockey Club embarrassed me, kick them out of the NHL. I never would have them play. They'd never play again, but enough of that. Let's get to baseball today. We got 4 games, people, on the docket. Game number 1, 308. Game number 2, 508. Game number 3, 708. Game number 4, 908. Perfect mismatch, or should I say mismatch, hodgepodge, let's call it, of greatness today that could be. Which means that game number 1, no matter who wins or loses, will be another day of American League Baseball. The next game, the Phillies and the Mets. If the Philadelphia Phillies lose, it's a wrap on the Phillies season. Mets will move forward, and the team gets dropped out. The next game after that, the 708, that's the Yankees in Kansas City. Winner of that game feels great. Loser of that game still has a chance. Late night, Dodgers, San Diego, same thing. Elimination game. Padres win and move on. Dodgers win, stave off elimination, head back to their home ballpark, same as the Philadelphia Phillies. Game number 1, Cobb versus Montero. 7 is the total. The number, let's just call it pick'em, -110 both sides. Here's the issue. I need to see backlog data on who's going to be the starter and how long I think he's going to go. Why do I bring that up? Alex Cobb, I got no statistics listed here over the past 30 days. I'm supposed to trust that? Or how long he's going to pitch? Other side, I got Keider Montero listed as the starter on most sites. But also, we're figuring that there's going to be an opener in that game, which means how long is Montero actually going to pitch in that game? We don't know. If I'm looking at most of the markets here, 75% of the tickets coming in on the Cleveland Guardians. Why isn't that line higher? 83% of the money coming in on the Cleveland Guardians. Why is that line not moving? That throws up a red flag here. Now, Detroit looks like the way they're trying to win a World Series is, let me throw the best pitcher in baseball one game and then have 3 straight bullpen games. That's not a recipe for success. And that's why I can see the people going like, okay, heard of Alex Cobb before, has had some success in Major League Baseball. Yeah, I guess I'll roll with him today. I'm not rolling with anybody in that baseball game. I'm not making a bet on that game. I might just have it on in the background to watch because, again, it's not an elimination game. And quite frankly, I'm not really dialed into that series. By far, to me, the most boring series of the playoffs. Let's move forward to a game that's really impactful. The Philadelphia Phillies and the New York Mets. 9:05, 9:06 on the rotation. 5:08 start tonight. It's Ranger Suarez, the left-handed pitcher on the mound for the Philadelphia Phillies. Jose Quintana, left-handed pitcher for the New York Mets. And the Mets are just rolling some lefties out here to try to, almost cursed right there, mess with the Phillies, which they've been able to do. Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, going to have to start digging out and getting some big at-bats here. Now, here's what we're looking at. Past 60 days in Major League Baseball, Ranger Suarez, 2-3 overall, started 7 games, 31 1/3 innings pitched. His ERA, 5.74. That's terrible. But I don't really look at the ERA here. I look at the underlying values, like the xFIP numbers. He has a pretty decent one, actually. 3.86. Average, not terrible, not great. Let's head on down to Jose Quintana. 4-3 over the past 60 days, 9 total starts, 52 innings pitched. An ERA much better than Ranger Suarez at 3.29, but a higher xFIP number at 4.26. xFIP number is the one I generally trust more than ERA, obviously, because those analytical numbers sort of help you with that prediction of the future, what should have happened in the past, how it correlates to the future. You get it, as opposed to what you saw. An ERA doesn't really tell the whole telltale sign of what that pitcher is doing. But let's flip it over and take a look at some other markets here on this Phillies game. Ranger Suarez, left-handed pitcher, last 30 days. K percentage, 14%. Terrible. ISO power number against between lefty and righties over those 89 at-bats, 221. That's too high. Weighted on base percentage through those 89 batters, 432. That's ridiculously high. On the season, he actually has really good numbers. He might have been the best pitcher in baseball through the first, 5-6 weeks of the season, but he's fallen off. You take a look at Ranger Suarez being a left-handed pitcher and what he's done against right-handed batters, 263 ISO over his last 68 batters. That's high. 466 weighted on base percentage over those 68 batters. That's really high. You look at the Mets tonight. They don't necessarily hit left-handed pitching all that well. Lindor, not great. Nimmo, not great. Alonso, not great. JD Martinez, not great. Marte, not great. Bader, not great. Even though Starling Marte, has a 367 weighted on base percentage, which isn't bad. But those power numbers are low. If you said, Donnie, you have to give me 2 batters tonight. Let's go 3. 3 batters tonight for the Mets that I want to watch out for. It's going to be from the right-hand side. Mark Vientos, 286 ISO over his last month against left-handed pitching. That checks out. Jose Iglesias, 207 through 32 at-bats. That checks out. How about Francisco Alvarez, 15 at-bats, got a 692 ISO. That checks out. Those would be the 3 guys I'd be looking forward to on my card. But also, it is tough in these closeout situations. you're banking on saying, okay, I'm going to handicap these games primarily as a left-handed pitcher he's going against. And if Suarez does pitch 5 to 6 innings, which the Phillies would absolutely love, where would you go after? Well, look, you already did your handicap. They're going to get 3 at-bats against the starting pitcher, and that's what you're looking at. What happens if Ranger Suarez struggles a little bit? I'm going to say like he gives up 4 runs over the first 2 innings. He gives up 1 run over the first 3 innings, then gets in a little bit of trouble in the 4th. He's out. So you might only get 1, maybe 2 at-bats if you're lucky, if you're betting Mark Vientos. But that's where I would go. Now let's flip it over to the Philadelphia Phillies. I just told you, Suarez doesn't check out all that well over the past 30 days. But if we're looking at the Phillies lineup, they actually have some pretty good numbers against left-handed pitching. But here's the issue. Jose Quintana, as I told you, over the past 60 days, a 4.26 xFIP, which isn't very good. That's below average. But if we're looking at just those numbers of ISO power number, weighted on base percentage against, and ground ball percentage, it's really good. He's been good. K rate, last 90 batters, 24%. Lefties, he's K'ing at about 30%. Righties at 22%. Walk percentage low, only 5.6 combined between lefties and righties. ISO power number, 036. Weighted on base percentage, 189. He's been really good. So what are you going to trust? The Phillies bats that haven't shown up yet in the first 5 innings going up against Quintana? Did they bust out tonight? Boy, it's a big leap of faith. But there's a lot of really good Phillies batters in the lineup today. Maybe lean more on right-handed batters. But to be honest, if I'm taking any bat, probably going to be the Mets tonight. Just told you, Vientos, man. Top 3 in that lineup? Absolutely. We'll be back. Moneyline on a Wednesday morning for Major League Baseball next.
The boys of summer become the champions of fall. The World Series is on its way, and SportsGrid brings you every angle. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Grady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channel dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and SiriusXM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Moneyline at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi, then boils over with Gabe Morency on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find SportsGrid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Sports Rage tonight.
No. You've got to be kidding me. This is insane. Derek Carr's an idiot. He was just your boy 5 seconds ago. You idiot. You suck, Carr. He's an idiot. He's an idiot. What the hell is he doing? Just threw it up like a punt. He touched him, Ralphie. This play, like, what the hell are they doing? God, Carr's an idiot.
It's Sports Rage tonight with Gabe Morency. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. On the SportsGrid Radio Network.
No way football is playing in the fall and winter.
Because the hits don't hurt as much when you're numb. Get the lowdown on all the sports action coming up right here.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Yeah, Major League Baseball playoffs. 4 games today. Gotta love that. Starting at 3 o'clock. You got a nice action-packed afternoon with live sporting events that you can sink your teeth into, and some teams might be going home. We already went over the Philadelphia Phillies-Mets game. Not the great vibes here. Not great vibes in the city for the Phillies today, for me. The Mets just that team that's going to be able to advance. And by the way, they'll get smashed by the Padres. Padres are the best team in Major League Baseball right now. Best starting pitching, best lineup, best bullpen. It resides there. No surprise that they're going to beat the Dodgers in this series, and quite frankly, probably beat them tonight. We'll get to that in a second. Yankees and the Kansas City Royals. One Wonder who we go with tonight. Seth Lugo, guys. Over the past 60 days, 51 innings pitched, 3.88 ERA, 3.57 xFIP number. Very manageable here, people. Going up against Clark Schmidt, who's only had 24 and 2/3 innings pitched over the past 60 days. An ERA comparable at 3.65, but a higher xFIP of 4.36. Lining it up over the past 30 days, Clark Schmidt has faced 88 batters. Actually done a pretty good job. 108 ISO, weighted on base percentage 305. Against right-handed batters, he's been locked down. A 0 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 233 to 38 batters. To left side guys, since he's a right side pitcher, 186 ISO, weighted on base percentage 361. There's your attack point on Clark Schmidt. You go with the left-handed batters tonight. There are going to be Massey, Pasquantino, Melendez, and Isbell. If I look at that lineup, based on the numbers I like to, Michael Massey will be on my card. His last 58 at-bats against right-handed pitching, a 180 ISO, and a weighted on-base percentage of 372, low Ks, high walk rate. That's a guy that should be able to set the table and get on base. But it's not Vinny P. It's not MJ Melendez. It's Kyle Isbell. His last 46 at-bats against right-handed pitching, he's got a 189 ISO and a 393 weighted on-base percentage. Sneaky pick in the bottom of that lineup, people, for Kyle Isbell. Let's flip it over to the other side. Seth Lugo, but the mound. Veteran, long-time Major League Baseball pitcher. His last 102 batters he's faced, how about a 104 ISO and a 247 weighted on base percentage? If you say, all right, he's a right-handed pitcher, has to do against lefties, average ISO at 182, but a weighted on base percentage that's manageable at 297. To right-handed batters, how about a 0 ISO? How about a 178 weighted on base percentage over 43 batters? Seth Lugo's that veteran you need. Now, if we are looking at that Yankees lineup and the matchups, the first three guys in that lineup, it's Gleyber Torres, Juan Soto, and Aaron Judge. 64 at-bats, 62 at-bats, and 78 at-bats. Pretty good sample size over the past month against right-handed pitching. Gleyber Torres, 194 ISO, weighted on base percentage, 387. Love it. Juan Soto, 62 at-bats against right-handed pitching, a 180 ISO, and a 364 weighted on base percentage. Very good. Aaron Judge, who needs to get back to being MVP Aaron Judge, last 64 at-bats against right-handed pitching, a 396 ISO, and a weighted on-base percentage of 486. Those are the only three guys that I'm looking for in my lineup there. Austin Wells, atrocious against right-handed pitching over the past month. Giancarlo Stanton, atrocious against right-handed pitching over the past month. Jazz Chisholm, a 208 ISO, which is nice, but a lower weighted on-base percentage of 304. More of a boom or bust guy. The only guys I'd be looking at for that Yankees lineup today, Torres, Soto, and Judge. And then if we say for that Kansas City lineup once again, Michael Massey and Kyle Isbell are my favorite batters in that lineup. But if you are looking at the updated numbers and statistics on this game, Schmidt versus Lugo, it's basically a pick'em. Favored a little bit from that Yankee side. Let's call it minus 115, but a total of 8. That's going to be an interesting one to watch that play out. I don't know if we get runs in this one. It just feels like this game has the propensity to stay under the 8, which means I don't think that we can get the Yankees or the Royals to 9 runs. I'd lean more towards an under in that game. Phillies game's hard to judge at the 7.5 because it'll be a kitchen sink game for the Phillies, but there are a couple batters, as we went over, who I liked on both of those sides. But Dodgers and San Diego late at night, Knac's not going to be able to hold up against Cease. You're going to need a Herculean performance out of that Dodgers offense to keep them in this game. Cease has a 3.66 ERA through his last 51 2/3 innings and a xFIP of 4.17. I was interested to see that's high. Like, that's right on that danger level, 4.25, 4.5 or higher is where you not want to be. So I'm actually surprised that Cease is really that high. But from a hitter's standpoint, boy, oh boy, you look at that Padres team. Tatis, Profar, Machado, Merrill, Bogarts, Peralta, all live in this game tonight. Landon Knack's a right-handed pitcher. I don't know how long he's going, but his numbers are horrendous over the past month. 69 batters faced, a 250 ISO, weighted on base percentage of 387. Left-handed batters, hear me out on this one. An ISO against 312, weighted on base percentage 437. It's tattoo time. Jurickson Profar, Jackson Merrill, David Peralta, bang, bong, bong. There's a good chance that the 1 and 2 seed in the National League will be eliminated when you go to bed tonight. Tough scene for me being a Phillies fan, but we hold out hope. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. It's Moneyline. We'll be back on a Thursday. For JP behind the wheels of steel, I'm Donnie Rightside. See you tomorrow.
Fall is here.